So personally, my training mentality and teaching philosophy has changed quite considerably over the last 6 years since I started teaching. I remember when we first opened the gym, we were teaching just Sinwali pattern and just the Filipino martial arts, and traditionally speaking. What really hit me was when I started looking more into the psychology of combat. I read a book by Rory Miller, who's on this film, and it hit me really hard when he went through the freeze. I remember when I got stabbed when I was working in a bar. I didn't even know that I had got stabbed until I went to the hospital. The doctor asked me what happened to my leg, and I said the guy probably scratched me, and the doctor looked at me like I was retarded and said, "What kind of nails does this guy have?" He described in that book that I read exactly what happened to me. He described all the phases of the freeze, and that right there hit me that just because I'm teaching movement and I'm teaching combative techniques does not mean I'm teaching violence by any stretch of the imagination. So I really started changing things to add in, all right, here's what happens when adrenaline hits. I started reading Grossman, I started reading all the major figures in this area, Gavin de Becker, all the major guys that are studying this area, and started layering it into our training, which then immediately people started responding to because it made sense.
My goal, as much as possible, and this goes for teaching, this goes for leadership, this goes for writing, is to put as much power as possible in each individual's hands. No two people are the same, but they can all be better and stronger than they are now. So you work on what can make them better and strong. You give them the information so that they can make decisions. But the most important thing, you empower them.
How I apply reality-based self-defense in my teaching style is by always talking about the other factors. Other people, escape routes, de-escalation, and then drilling the combat in there. And we also added in, because the way the system is built, it's built off of the physiological response to adrenaline, which is a gross motor skill response. So if at my worst I can defend myself with a gross motor skill set, then we can build from that point. So we just build it right into our curriculum.
For me, self-defense is tool development. Let's eliminate the techniques. Oh, I got this technique and I got that technique. Okay, cool. How about a master key? Master key is common sense, something that isn't cultivated.
How I incorporate the adrenaline response into my training is everywhere in everything we do. All the movements we use have to be gross motor skill. They have to take into account that I might not have full vision. They take into account that I could be shaking, I'm not using finger dexterity. Everything that we add in, we explain the adrenaline dump, and then we try to, at the best we can with the current level of research, add it directly into our movements.
We need to have something that's reproducible. If I teach it or any of the other instructors here at Shinji Taekwondo do it, then they would, I want to make sure that everybody can teach it the same way, at least get the same results. Second thing is that I'd like to be able to bring in the so-called red mancers. They're total foam pattern, to give people the opportunity to actually hit with full power. Usually in most practice classes, you can't go with a lot of force because you're worried about injuring the person. Now, some places go and train a lot harder, but because we're more of a family-oriented place, we have children ranging from 5 years old all the way up to 85 years old. We have to make sure that they continue to come, because otherwise we go out of business.
When we do train, we do something called, we will add in stress testing, or we'll add in a bunch of different drills, and drills will make it different. So if you were to become a police officer, you wouldn't just hit a boxing gym twice a week and that'd be your hand-to-hand. They would bring you into a reality-based situation where there would be role play, or there would be a scenario, or there would be whatever. And so that's kind of what we do, is we concoct scenarios and we bring in places to make it more realistic, because I might not face one guy, there might not be a bell, a bell might not go off. We do lots of things. We do sensory deprivation, we do quick attacks, we do varying angles, we do multiple opponents. The way we keep it real is through that kind of training. Yes, every drill has a flaw in it. There has to be a flaw, otherwise people get hurt. There's just no way around that. So what we try to do is eliminate the flaws as much as possible by training either in slow motion, because nobody's ever really fought in slow motion. They always speed up automatically in fighting. And we try to add in a lot more like shock and awe, where people can hit and target and stuff in a safe environment through safety glasses and equipment.
So if there is anything I do that's different, it's a thought press I learned for the Instant Command System for ICS, which is how the agency I was with and most agencies in America are trained to deal with disasters. You look at the problem first. You don't decide what you have and decide what problems you can solve. You look at the problems you have, you look at the problems you're going to get, you look at what students need, and then you work from solving the problems instead of applying the skills that you already have and hope you get the problem that matches.
When people know what's going to happen, it's part of the plan. When it's part of the plan, they can react quicker and faster. If something happens I never expected, my teacher never tells me that, my legs might start shaking. So now all of a sudden I'm scared because coward's legs shake, or whatever Hollywood has given me as my view on violence, I start equating to being cowardly or weak or whatever. And it's not that, it's just when the adrenaline dump happens or the chemical cocktail hits your bloodstream, your brain changes it automatically to whatever's happening. Love is no different than fear, which is no different than rage. They're all the same response, chemically speaking. It's just my brain dictates. I'm mad at this person, so I feel angry. I'm jumping out of a plane, so I feel scared. I like this girl, so my palms are sweaty. They're the exact same response. Like why some people can jump out of a plane and be super pumped about it, and when I jumped out of a plane, I look like a ghost because I was very scared of being high up.
First of all, it has to be natural, meaning the techniques you're using have to fit within your anatomical capabilities, your attributes, so to speak. So there again, why teach high kicks? What's your environment? Where do you live? Where do you work out? Where do you function at? How do you get to work? Where do you travel? So bottom line is it's concrete. All right, cool. What kind of shoes do you wear? Well, a lot of us don't wear sandals in the winter.
If you're looking outside for the answers on this, you're looking to the wrong person. You have to have the will to fight. You have to do whatever you're going to do the way that you're going to do it. If you're imitating instructor, you're going to fuck it up. If you're trying to remember what you're supposed to do, you're going to fuck it up. You will be the guy on the ground. I will never be there to tell you what to do. If I'm sitting here in this nice comfortable chair, imagining what's going to happen to you 30 years from now when you're a little old and crippled up and you're actually going to need it, and I try to come up with an imaginary solution from here, and you, for some stupid fucking reason, decide that my armchair imaginary solution is better than what you see when you're actually the guy in the middle of it, then you're stupid.
At a seminar, there could be 50 people or 100 people. I'll show one technique, I'll do it one way, and everybody there will do it distinctly different, whether it's weight displacement, positional control, follow through, attribute refinement. They're going for the next movement. They're going for where can I go next, that type of thing.
I think the reality-based self-defense is your own personal reality. I can't tell a woman what's going to happen during a rape. I can't. I can guesstimate, but I can't say this is what's going to happen. But we can use the studies from other people far smarter than I and say this is what's most likely going to happen. Here's the response. Here's how we should change your outlook on your training. Here's why the guys are being mean to you in class, because they have to be harder on you because you're going to fight somebody that big and that strong. So the major evolution has been adding more reality. We took the mats out of the gym. We have a concrete floor. We put weapons in, we attack, we yell at each other. We do a bunch of things that would be considered such a faux pas in traditional martial arts, but are necessary to make sure that you stay safe outside.
So the martial arts can be a way of life, but the progression and the reality, there again, it has to be about the people you're teaching and not the style. We can't transcend our life into David Carradine and be, Kwai Chang Caine. That ain't gonna happen unless we just want to stay out in the wilderness and wander about. But the reality is it's a violent society, and its violence comes to us. So, the progression of martial arts has to be what you can perceive it. How other people suffer, how other people sacrifices, those things happen to you and they happen to other people you know. So they can happen to anybody at any time. That we have to embrace that as teachers. If we want to be, it comes down to, do we want to teach self-defense? Do we want people to survive? Yes, we do. That's the most important. Do we need them to be teachers? If that's their calling, but we don't have to put a black belt or a teacher certification on each one of those students, or trap them in into a belt system or a ranking system or anything.
There will never be an expert on this. I did a lot of stuff within a very, very narrow area. But for actual self-defense, you know, you're being attacked by someone who's bigger, stronger, a classic stranger rape scenario, which is rare but happens. Okay, in order to be an expert on that, how many times do you have to survive it? And is anyone ever going to be in that situation that much? And if they were, there are way other things they got to change about their lifestyle before they get into teaching other people how to fight out of that situation. Same as far as reality-based and no experts. I've had 5 knife encounters. Okay, would you even consider for a second going into a judo tournament under a coach that only ever had 5 matches? That's ridiculous.